is unfair.
Well, what do you know? It looks like coasting on good vibes, celebrity endorsements, the legacy media spreading lies about your political opponent, and insulting your opponent and his supporters numerous times.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are.
Don't you find some of their stuff to just be plain weird?
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird.
They are weird.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Elon's on that stage, jumping around, skipping like a dipshit.
Isn't enough to win yourself the election.
Hey everybody, Alex the Critic here, and the results are finally in. Donald Trump has officially won the presidency and will become the first person since Grover Cleveland to serve non-consecutive terms in the White House. As a conservative who went out and voted for Trump during my state's early voting period, believe me when I say that nobody is more relieved about these results than I am. Like many of you who are watching this video, I was very paranoid about this election getting compromised, and so I refused to go to sleep on election night until the Associated Press called a winner. That way, in case the establishment did try to partake in some, for lack of a better word, shenanigans, I could raise awareness about it in real time. Luckily, at around 2 a.m., the AP called the Pennsylvania race for Trump, at which point his victory in the general election was all but assured, so I wound up not having to do that. Instead, I get to come on camera and gloat like an absolute asshole about how monumental this win is. Think about it for a second. The Democrats did everything in their power to try and prevent Trump from retaking the White House.
They sued him, they charged him with tons of flimsy felonies, they threw equally flimsy rape allegations at him, they even tried to kill him twice.
And those tactics still didn't work. They just made Trump more and more likable, and as a result, he has won not only the Electoral College, but also the popular vote, something that a Republican nominee for president hasn't done in 20 years. And Trump wasn't the only one who won big on election night either.
The Republican Party as a whole garnered control of the Senate, and it's looking like they're going to retain the House of Representatives at the time of recording this as well. Add on to that the fact that the Supreme Court has a conservative majority, and we have more Republican governors than Democrat ones, and it's looking like we've slowed the decline of our country by just a little bit.
Now, I'm not going to break down which demographics voted for who, or how much better or worse each party did in each individual state in this election compared to the last one, because there are already plenty of people out there who are far better at parsing through that data than I am, who have already done so. Instead, I'm here to ask a very important question. Now that our guy has won, what should we ask of him? There are tons of different things that tons of different conservatives expect of the president-elect, but as I can only speak for myself, I'll solely be laying out the 5 most important things that I hope to see done in Trump's second term.
Firstly, fortify our southern border.
Deport the tens of millions of illegal immigrants that are culturally incompatible with us, that have poured into our country and caused massive civil unrest during Biden's presidency, and get the fucking border wall built this time.
Secondly, put a full stop on foreign aid and divert those millions of taxpayer dollars to rebuilding our infrastructure.
While we're at it, de-escalate the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East by either working with these countries to negotiate some type of peace treaty or staying the fuck out of it. You're the President of the United States of America. I expect you to put the interests of Americans first. Speaking of Americans...
Thirdly, pardon the people who were arrested over their involvement in the January 6th protest.
They've been held in federal prison without a fair trial for well over 3 years at this point, and they represent some of Trump's most ardent supporters. It would be a slap in the face to the people who voted for him if Trump didn't lift a single finger to help them. While we're on the topic of retribution...
Trump should absolutely jail those who tried to use shaky and unfounded criminal cases to imprison their political opponents.
Letitia James, Jack Smith, Fannie Willis, and anybody else who bent the facts and abused their authorities in order to try and subvert the will of the people should be put behind bars for the rest of their lives.
Fourthly, slash wasteful government spending by gutting our bloated bureaucracy.
The best and easiest way to do it would be to get rid of all of these needless government agencies we have. The two biggest ones that I think we should put on the chopping block first are the FBI and the Department of Education. These agencies don't need to exist, and their services can either be shifted over to larger, already existing agencies or privatized entirely. On that note...
let's put an end to government-funded DEI initiatives.
Not only do these policies exacerbate racial tensions that are already running pretty high in America, but they also result in unqualified people being promoted to positions of power.
Lastly, Trump needs to follow through on his promises regarding taxes.
Slash income taxes across the board, expand the child tax credit, and abolish income taxes on overtime wages. These moves will not only put more money in people's wallets, which will definitely help them cope with our absurd rates of inflation, but they will also convince people to start families, which are the building block of all societies. It might be too idealistic to expect Trump to abolish the IRS outright, but there's no reason that he can't at least shrink it while he's in office. Those are pretty much all of the major policies that I hope Trump pursues. There are more. For example, I want him to launch an actual bipartisan investigation into our election process so that we can figure out why exactly it's taken so goddamn long for some of these states to count their fucking ballots, but we can worry about the president-elect's agenda after he gets inaugurated. For now, it's time to soak in the liberal tears that have flowed ever since the results of the election first came in. That's right, folks. I'm ending this video by reacting to some of the funniest meltdowns that people have had after Trump won. Before we do though, I just want to apologize for all of the sound effects and background music that you're going to hear through some of these clips. I clipped these meltdowns from other people's YouTube videos covering the election because downloading them directly from Twitter and TikTok is a huge pain in the ass, at least for me. So if you see Mark Dice or some other political commentator laughing their asses off in the corner, consider that an added bonus.
I'm feral today. Feral!
I know. I also hate it when Movie Maker shuts down on me and loses me 2 hours of editing.
If you see me, keep walking. Do not make eye contact. Do not square up at me. Don't act like you know me.
Aha! But what if I approach you in a friendly manner while not looking at you and I don't act like I know who you are? Didn't think of that one, did ya?
Like, I want to eat... Like, maybe they voted for Kamala, but, like, I want to eat them right now. Like, I want to take a bite out of those glutes in a bad way.
Ugh. Keep it in your pants, lady. This is a family channel. I don't need to be hearing about your sexual fantasies.
And one more thing. In 4 years, there better be 2 women on that ballot.
Or what?
There better be... I don't want a single Man, I do not care. If he is the most qualified man in the world, I don't want him on that ballot.
What if one of the candidates is a woman who's pretending to be a man? Would you vote for them then?
Because there have been hundreds of qualified women.
Yeah, I think you and I have different definitions of qualified.
I think the only way to argue with maggots now is to not silence. They refuse to educate themselves, so I refuse to talk to them. They don't exist. Silence.
Finally, a liberal viewpoint that I can agree with.
I'm tired. I'm numb. I'm struggling to know what happens next.
So am I. I hate that MLB is trying to take away our hometown baseball team. Like seriously, San Antonio can't even have minor league baseball teams anymore.
But the one question I do have is...
Who put the wham in the shamalama ding dong?
How do we keep each other safe?
Well, I do know that this one Austrian painter cooked up something that he called a final solution, but I don't think you're gonna like it very much.
I don't know how to explain to Trumpies that they are so obsessed with Trump because they have mommy and daddy issues.
Hey, that's only half true.
I don't know how to tell them that because they don't even realize they have mommy and daddy issues.
Have you tried speaking in sign language?
That's where it starts. Because you want to be the golden child so bad. You want to go tell your parents, I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump. That's why it's an obsession. You're obsessed with him, baby, because you have mommy and daddy issues.
But what if this hypothetical person's parents also voted for Trump? Do they still suffer from mommy and daddy issues?
That's why you don't have any healthy relationships in your life, because you don't even have a healthy relationship with yourself.
Again, that's only half true.
Because if you voted for Trump, I genuinely hope you are so happy right now. I hope you're having the greatest day of your fucking life.
I am. Thanks for the kind comments.
Because, you know what? When your kid is in school one day and there's a school shooting and they fucking die or get sent to the hospital or someone they know gets shot.
No doubt by a deranged tranny.
I hope that you are happy with the thoughts and prayers that come from that.
Why wouldn't I be? Am I supposed to have a problem with people offering me their moral support?
I hope that you are so fucking happy that if your wife gets raped, that she has to have that child.
Okay, even ignoring the fact that some states which have banned abortions have still provided exceptions in cases of rape, I still don't understand how the circumstances of one's birth makes their life any less valuable than anybody else's life.
I hope you are so fucking happy that the trans people in your fucking life might have to detransition because this motherfucker's gonna take away gender-affirming care.
I'm pretty sure Trump is only taking away gender-affirming care for children, not everyone.
I hope you are so fucking happy that the economy is supposedly gonna be okay now because you voted for Donald Trump, the man who was gonna take away all the rights of so many groups of people, not even just fucking trans people, so many groups of fucking people that are not straight cis white men.
If that's the case, then I have to wonder why in the hell Donald Trump has appointed so many women and minorities to his administration. Either Trump is the worst at acting like a bigot, or maybe, just maybe, he's not going to make all minorities slaves once he's inaugurated. Also, I love how this guy is acting as though the economy hasn't been in the toilet for a while.
I hope you were so happy with that. I hope you were so happy with what you just fucking did.
Okay, even if you're the kind of person who voted for Trump because you did think that he was going to install the Fourth Reich, is this kind of moralizing bullshit really gonna make anyone change their minds?
I hope you were so happy to maybe never be able to fucking vote again because he's gonna take that fucking right away from you. But you fucking voted for him!
You know, if it's that easy to get rid of democracy, then maybe it's not the best system of government.
You fucking did this shit! You did it!
You're damn right I did, nigga!
Good morning. I took yesterday to be angry and miserable.
Well, that's a load of bullshit. Leftists are always angry and miserable. They don't set any particular day aside to be that way.
And I also took yesterday to make the decision to block my father.
Good for you. I never trusted that man anyways.
Who will still end up seeing this, so hi, Dad.
Young lady, you unblock me right this second.
And yes, I did block him because of who he voted for.
Wait, so it wasn't because he molested you? Shit, and people say I have bad priorities.
because he knows that I am trans, and he knows that I have had 2 abortions, and he still voted for Project 2025.
I don't get it. That sounds pretty based to me.
Which, to me, is reprehensible.
Not as reprehensible as stealing my collection of bobbleheads, but it's still up there.
I have my husband who loves and supports me to the ends of the earth. I have my friends who love and support me to the ends of the earth. And I have other family members who love and support me to the ends of the earth. And I genuinely do not need anyone else.
That's all well and good, but Trump is still gonna put all of y'all in concentration camps, so I'm not exactly sure how much comfort they're gonna bring you when you're in there.
I realize this is something not everyone is able to do safely, and I'm very grateful for my ability to do that safely.
Well, I hope you're ready for Donald Trump to take away that ability in the next 2 months.
I cut my mother off until the day she died, and I can and will do that again.
But isn't your mother dead? How can you cut her off again?
And let me make something abundantly clear between you and I right now. Anything that goes wrong in the next 4 years, all y'all's fault.
Well, duh. That's kinda how it works.
That's what you voted for, right? That's what you wanted. You got the House, you got the Senate, you got the President, and you got the Supreme Court. Baby, it's all you.
Damn, it feels so good to be reminded of how much my team is winning.
And I'm clocking all that. Gas prices don't come down, grocery prices don't come down, you still can't buy a house.
What I love the most about this little bit is that she's tacitly implying that her guy isn't doing the country that many favors either. I mean, you guys have been in power for the past 4 years, and y'all have tanked the economy. Why exactly should we vote for y'all again?
Oh, on top of that, your neighbors got deported?
Well, if they were here illegally, then I don't mind that they got deported.
Oh, and your sister died of sepsis in the parking lot of the hospital.
That is a weirdly specific example, and yet not specific enough. I mean, she never clarifies how the sister got sepsis, so I don't know if this is supposed to be a comment on Trump's stance on abortion or on his healthcare plan.
My sympathy's gone. I have no more sympathy to give you. Everything will be funny from here on out. I'm about to get on this app every single day and clock that shit. You thought I was unbearable before? That was in the F around phase. And now you're gonna find out. So while you're crying, to me, I told you so. I told you motherfucking so.
Just a friendly little reminder that these are the kinds of people that the Democratic establishment wants us to unify with.
Because you are not special to him. You were simply a means to an end.
Well, you could say the exact same thing about Kamala, so I'm not exactly sure what point you're trying to prove here.
Land of the free, right? Unless you're a woman, of course, or a person of color, or LGBTQIA member.
Yeah, that must be why we have so many women and minorities in positions of power across this country. It must also be why women and minorities have dominated certain sectors of the economy. Women have dominated the modeling industry, blacks have dominated sports and the music industry, and divorce laws, child custody laws, and hiring practices predominantly favor women and minorities. Oh, and just so I don't leave the gays out of this, I don't think we're gonna be overturning the Supreme Court's ruling on same-sex marriages anytime soon. And considering the fact that we've set aside a whole month in which our culture bends over backwards to celebrate queerness, which does matter as it stands in stark contrast to third world countries that will kill people for being queer, I don't think it's too fair to say that Trump's America will do any lasting damage to the LGBT community. Especially since Trump was one of the first presidential candidates who openly supported gay marriage.
Or undocumented.
You know that these people are undocumented because they got here illegally? No freaking duh, we're not gonna give any freedoms to people who break the law. That would be like saying, what? You're telling me that I can't just break into people's houses whenever I please?
Or an enemy from within.
Hey, trust me, you're gonna be thankful when we get rid of all those weeaboos.
Hey, you won, right? Go America.
Hell yeah, nigga!
MAGA is an extremist hate cult.
And that hollow rhetoric is why your side lost the election.
There are people who voted for Donald Trump knowing the harm that it will do to so many people, and that is why they voted for him.
Even if that's true, doesn't that say more about how much your side sucks? I mean, if people would rather have the dictator, then what exactly were you offering them?
MAGA 2024, you're in for a rough ride.
With all due respect, I'm not blind or illiterate, so I know what that says.
You're a supporter of MAGA, knowing that women are in for a rough ride. And you're proud of it.
Well, I am a misogynist, so I would imagine that I would have to be proud of it.
Seek help.
You first, bitch.
Let me be very, very clear when I say this. If you are an alternative person, punk, goth, however you classify yourself, in the alternative community, and you support Trump, no, you're fucking not. No, you're not.
Well, I'm not any of these things, so am I excluded from this ultimatum?
I have never been the type of person that's like, well, if you don't listen to this music, you're not goth, you're not punk. I'm not that type of person, but if you don't have the same fucking values, the same fucking common sense when it comes to human rights, you're not alternative.
Okay, I don't think a person who dresses like you has any right to deride others for lacking common sense.
I'm done crying.
Ah, what? You're telling me I missed the main event? What a ripoff!
My sadness is over. My anger has set in. I am a very petty person, and I am very proud of that. Love it about myself, actually.
As a fellow proud and petty person, I can respect that.
And so, I say this in the most disrespectful way possible. I don't care if you are my family. I don't care if you're my friend. I don't care if we've been friends our entire lives.
The ending to Evangelion wasn't good, and no amount of college essays will change that fact.
You can literally go fuck yourself if you voted for Donald Trump.
That wasn't as fun as the thing that I said.
If you are so sad about your groceries being expensive, get a better fucking paying job. Do better in life. Get a fucking education. Do something. Because you are fucking stupid.
Wow, listen to the sheer contempt in that voice. This guy is emblematic of everything that I hate about out-of-touch liberal elites. Sitting there thinking that the reason why people's wages are so low is because they're working low-value jobs, when those jobs are only low-value because of government interference. And then suggesting that these people get an education in order to improve their lot in life. Ignoring the fact that degrees are not necessarily an automatic guarantee that you'll get a high-paying job. I don't think the coal miners in Appalachia have the time nor the resources to go out and get a college degree in the first place. If these are the people that I'm supposed to unify with, then I would rather there just be another civil war.
And I hope you go jump off of a fucking bridge.
So, when Trump establishes his concentration camps, can we throw this guy in there first?
I'm sorry! No! Why? Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
Oh man, I absolutely love this clip. It is like the most perfect reaction meme of all time. Here are some of the best jokes that I was able to come up for it. When they run out of breadsticks at the Olive Garden.
Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
When you see the trans scenes in Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
When you realize that you're all out of Dr. Pepper and it's too late to go out to the store and buy more.
Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
When Hollywood releases yet another live-action adaptation of an animated movie with a race-swapped cast.
Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
And finally, my personal favorite, when you find out that most people actually think that Into the Spider-Verse was a good movie.
Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
You guys should try to come up with some of your own. I would love to see how many reaction jokes we can milk out of this clip.
AP News is just called the election.
Did he just say a penis?
AP News is just called the election.
He did. He just said a penis.
AP News is just called the election.
Well, I guess if you're gonna insult the Associated Press, you could do worse.
In Pennsylvania, meaning that Donald Trump is the next president-elect of the United States and that he's going to be our next president.
That sounds like good news to me, nigga. Double high five!
I'm devastated. I wish we could have done more for this country. I wish I could have done more.
Me too, bro. I also wish that we would have won the popular vote by another 10 million people. But sometimes things just don't go your way.
Yo, I'm scared to go to sleep. I might wake up a motherfucking slave.
You know, there's still 2 months before Trump gets inaugurated, so you have plenty of time to leave America if you genuinely think that he's going to enslave you. Okay, this one I'm not entirely sure if it's a joke or not because it's just so goofy and performative. I mean, even more so than the videos of other women crying over the election results. Plus, the caption is written in a jokey way, so why don't you guys tell me what you think about this video? Is it a joke, or is this woman being completely serious? I don't have TikTok, so we're going to have to settle this debate with a vote.
Hope your day gets better. Positive energy.
Oh my god. Oh my god!
Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up!
I'm so glad you guys got your cheap ass groceries and your cheap ass fucking gas, cause you're fucking broke as shit. You're fucking broke. You're fucking broke. Broke. I said I'm fucking being serious. You're fucking broke.
Just another friendly reminder that these are the people that we're supposed to unify with.
America, how can you do this to us again? What the fuck?
I know, man. We got our asses kicked in every single major soccer tournament.
How are we supposed to live another 4 years like this? What the hell? What did you do to us?
That's what I've been telling myself about the decisions that the San Antonio Spurs have made over the past decade.
Harris did not win.
Who won?
Trump. So,
Take a breath.
Yep.
Okay, ignoring how horrifying it is that this parent would traumatize her children like this, how stupid are they if they don't even know that Trump was the one who was running against Harris? I mean, if you tell them that Kamala lost, I would expect them to intuit that Trump was the one who won. Meaning they wouldn't have to ask you what the result of the election was.
So today may look a little different at school.
Yeah, it's not often that schools throw wild celebrations.
Okay, there are probably going to be friends who have questions, right?
Yes, very prescient questions like, hey, did you catch that latest episode of Pokemon? I don't really know what kids watch anymore.
I'm sure your teachers are going to...
Well, kid, let me introduce you to a little thing called democracy. Again, either these are the stupidest kids in the world, or this is all purely performative. And I'm not sure either one would be better than the other.
Genuinely do want to urge people with ovaries and uteruses and women and anyone assigned female at birth to not look at men, not talk to men, not entertain men, not look for validation in men, not center their world and their being and their appearance and their thoughts around men, and look for men and up to men on what they should think and what they should decide, because it's clear that they've never seen us as anything but procreation machines and pleasure objects and dolls.
I don't get it. This plan sounds awesome.
Donald Trump has 267 electoral votes. 267. You remember that plan that we came up when we was on vacation on Memorial Day? She was like, yeah, I do. I said, it's time to put that plan into action. So the plan is children. Victoria, BC. I looked it up the first time he won office. Victoria, BC, they are one of the best places for black people to go. They are one of the warmest places in Canada, and it's not too far from here, from where I live at least.
Trump is president, and I think all women should stop having sex for the next 4 years.
All I have to say is good luck getting laid. Especially in Florida, because me and my girlies are participating in the 4B movement. That's my next plan. And I'm dead fucking serious.
Again, I'm supposed to be pissy that these sorts of women are going to stay away from men for the next 4 years? If anything, I'm glad that they're doing me the favor of not having to interact with them at all.
Quick question. So does anybody know how to find or hire a hitman?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I know that Rockstar dropped the ball with the definitive editions of the GTA trilogy, but this is not the way to solve the problem.
Or woman? Because we don't want to be sexist.
Nice try, lady, but you forgot about non-binary hit people, you fucking transphobe.
So, but I think we could pull this off collectively. If you want to chip in, DM.
Well, I'll give her this. She guaranteed herself a job at the FBI.
Saved your ass, MAGA dude.
Thank you so much. We love you so much.
I don't love you.
But we love you.
I don't love you.
I hope God helps you.
I do not want your love. I want you to find yourself in a Princess Diana car accident.
Really? But why? We love you.
Yeah, we might.
Okay, the guy saying that we might at the end there sort of saved us from that horrible display of human behavior. I mean, seriously. These people hate us so much that they wish death upon us, and we're supposed to unify with them? Fuck that, dude. I would rather stick my dick in a cheese grater.
I'm gonna be honest, I was very blindsided by the results this morning.
That's because you're detached from reality.
I've decided that cigarettes don't count today.
Don't count for what?
And I honestly might go get a tattoo.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure how getting a tattoo is gonna help you cope with the election results, but you do you, I guess.
But I also have decided that for the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men.
And that's a bad thing?
And funny enough, I actually just broke up with my boyfriend a handful of days before the election.
Then, on behalf of that man, let me just say, you dodged a fucking bullet.
No matter what you do, you will never put out my love.
No, but the firing squad will.
You will never make me give up hope.
Speaking as an Elder Scrolls fan, I cannot relate to this level of optimism.
No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter, you will never put out my love.
What if I say your body, my choice?
I really do not like crying on the internet, but I'm not even about to pretend like this some shit that I'm finna be embarrassed about, bro. Like, I ain't never been so devastated behind an election, and it's just like, when you a black woman surrounded by black men, and they say all this shit like, oh, he's not that bad, and oh, he just hates everyone, bro. Like, it was my brother homeboy I was talking to the other day, a black man, and I found out that he's a Trump supporter. I'm like, he does not like you, and he was like, oh no, he just don't like everybody. What? So that's a good candidate for you? Someone who just fucking hates everybody? Like, what?
I have a peer-reviewed study pulled up on my phone right here that says that the answer to that question is yes.
Black women, you don't owe this country shit. You don't owe this country one fucking thing. Not one fucking thing else. It's time for us to bunker down.
Meaning what? You're going to dig yourselves underground and establish some sort of mole person society? Alright, you know what? Props to this lady for doing this out in public so that she doesn't disturb anybody with her bullshit. That's a level of consideration that I haven't seen from any of these other faggots.
I just don't understand why we can't have a female president. Like, why not?
I have all of the reasons right here. Do you want me to go through the list in alphabetical order or by category?
Like, how much more qualified and intelligent and, like, perfect for the position we have to be?
Again, I can run through the list, but you're gonna need to set aside at least 7 hours of your time.
I will make it my life's mission, my dying wish, that none of you weirdos can hide.
Who says I'm trying to hide?
In the future, you can't lie to your kids, you can't lie to your grandkids about, oh, it was so confusing, it was hard to see the truth, he was so convincing. I will not let you get away with that.
Ah, you must be one of those accelerationist conservatives.
Like, that was not normal, this is not normal.
What isn't normal exactly?
I will make it clear to everyone, like, I will make sure no one is confused about how things were right now in this very vital, crucial time in American history, that it was not confusing. It was not confusing at all. You just stood for that. You stood with that and for that.
Okay, so you're definitely one of those accelerationist conservatives.
Like, I can't emphasize enough, there will be nowhere to hide.
Well, I've been as open with my beliefs as I possibly can be, so again, who's trying to hide here, bitch?
You know how everyone says that Election Day should be a national holiday? I agree. I think the day after should also be a national holiday, because, like, what do you mean?
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Tell me how I literally went into today genuinely thinking I was gonna witness history.
It's a combination of delusion and narcissism.
Like, I really, really thought I was going to witness a woman of color become president of the United States.
Thank God that didn't happen.
That was fucking stupid of me.
Man, Samson's sister did not take the election well. Props to anybody that recognized who I just referenced, by the way. You have excellent taste.
It's just so awesome how much this country hates women. So awesome. It's really awesome.
I know, right? It's why I love living here.
Like, how awesome would it be to live in a country that, like, doesn't hate women? That'd be so cool, right?
No, living in a country that doesn't hate women sounds like it would be awful.
Anyway, just connecting with nature, because no matter who the president is, the trees will never change.
That is, unless we cut them down.
I'm not going to class today, because I know who I am. Trust me, I know who I am. I literally know who I am. If I go to class today, I will yell at someone. I will get in a fight, because I know who I am. You saw me in that Jubilee video. I know who I am. If I go to class today, I will get in a fight. So I'm staying in my room, and I'm processing everything.
Are psychos like this really the types of people that we want living among us in society?
I'm not an election denier, so I know that Trump won.
Yeah, that moral superiority isn't gonna do you any favors if Trump actually is the dictator that you claim he is. I mean, you literally lost the election to someone who you believe is Hitler, and yet you're conceding that power without much of a fight. I'm just saying that if Trump really was that much of an authoritarian, then you wouldn't be so calm and collected about losing the White House to him. Alright, that's enough listening to these uneducated plebs. As we all know, there's only one class in America whose opinions truly matter. Liberal celebrities. Let's hear what some of them had to say about the election.
So listen, I'm gonna let y'all know this right now, okay? So you know Trumpets, like,
Y'all won. I know y'all happy. Whatever the fuck. Ain't nobody acting like bitter losers.
Yeah, well, the past 30 minutes of pure cope have shown us otherwise.
However, y'all need to leave me the fuck alone. Because I got one more fucking cigarette in me before I start lighting your asses up. Aight?
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit.
And that's word to the United States of motherfucking America. Yeah.
You know, just in case you forgot where we all live.
Let me tell you, that was the worst Taco Tuesday of my whole life. We had the choice between a prosecutor and a criminal, and we chose the criminal to be president of the United States. More than half of this country voted for the criminal who's planning to pardon himself for his crimes.
You know, he's only a criminal because the establishment blasted him with phony charges. Also, considering the stuff that Joe Biden and his son Hunter got into, I don't think they're in any position to chastise anyone else for engaging in any criminal behavior.
I guess this election wasn't rigged. That's weird, though, right? I mean, he said it would be rigged. He said it was being rigged while people were in line voting.
Where the hell did you pull that from? Just because Trump won the election doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't any fraud committed in this election.
Isn't it remarkable that this time the fix wasn't in? Last time the Democrats cheated. This time we chose not to, I guess. I don't know.
Well, point me to where Trump said that there was no issue with how any of the polls across our country were managed, and I'll grant you this point.
This Donald Trump, he's like the Emperor from Star Wars. He's old, he's evil, and he keeps coming back with no reasonable explanation whatsoever.
Man, how bad is the Star Wars sequel trilogy when even Jimmy Kimmel is shitting on it? Also, how bad of a candidate is Kamala Harris if she's still lost to someone that you think is outright evil?
I was all over the place. 1 minute I'm watching these long lines in every city and I think, oh, that's beautiful, democracy in action. Next minute there's a reporter chatting with some bro at Arizona State who said he voted for Trump because Kamala didn't go on Joe Rogan's podcast. And I'm like, where did I leave my passport?
You can laugh all you want, but Trump appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast was a pretty big deal. It's an independent program where the host gets to ask the presidential candidate whatever they want, and that presidential candidate has to come up with responses off the top of their head. Kamala not being willing to submit herself to that level of scrutiny on an independent podcast like the Joe Rogan Experience would signal to most Americans that she's not fit to be president. Plus, your side was pushing for people to vote for Kamala Harris purely because she's a woman of color. You are not in any position to chastise anyone else for being vapid and shallow.
President Biden called Donald Trump today to congratulate him and to invite him to the White House to discuss the transition and maybe watch a little Matlock starring Kathy Bates. Kamala Harris called Trump today, too. She conceded and then explained what the word conceded means.
Yes, I believe the term conceded means to allow someone who you believe is Hitler 2.0 to take power over your country. Again, where's the moral superiority behind going, oh, well at least we can concede an election? Like, you guys literally believe that Trump is going to strip away the rights of women and minorities on day one of his second term. Jimmy, earlier in this monologue, you straight up called Trump evil.
This Donald Trump, he's like the Emperor from Star Wars. He's old, he's evil.
Why in the hell would you concede power to a man like that and then try to play it off as if you're being the bigger person? I mean, say what you will about the psychopaths who celebrated the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but at least they were consistent. If you genuinely think that he is a danger to our democracy, then killing him would be the next logical step. But no, so long as we can pretend that we're good people, then it's alright that Hitler takes power in our country.
And she did it because that's how it's supposed to be done in America. There's an election, and then they count the votes, And if the Democrat loses, they call to congratulate the winner.
Yeah, but the winner is literally Hitler, according to your side, so how exactly are you going to square that inconsistency? Like, again, our democracy is in danger, and the person who's going to endanger it has just won the election. Oh well, I guess we better just concede the fight.
Harris also gave a concession speech at her alma mater, Howard University. She said, "It's gonna be okay. The light of America's promise will always burn bright." And she's right. You know, the reason America is the greatest country in the world is that even a simple garbage man and fry cook from McDonald's can one day be president of the United States 2 different times. And I think that's inspiring.
Wow. We just caught a brief glimpse into a timeline where Jimmy Kimmel isn't a complete douchebag.
Overall, the voting itself went relatively smoothly, despite a number of bomb threats that were called and emailed into heavily Democratic precincts in Georgia, Arizona, and Michigan. Authorities say they seem to have originated in Russia. You could tell the Russians are running out of ideas when they're trying to disrupt our elections now, using the same tricks kids in the 80s used to get out of PE.
The irony of detailing alleged Russian interference in our elections just a few minutes after chastising Donald Trump for suggesting that our elections could be subject to some form of fraud is not lost on me.
But the rest was not great. Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go.
Oh my fucking god, is this faggot really shedding tears on live TV? I'm sorry, but any man who begins sobbing when discussing politics is not worthy of being listened to. Also, nobody tell him that Trump actually gained ground with women and legal immigrants.
For healthcare?
I mean, considering that our healthcare system already sucked balls under Biden, I'm not exactly sure how much worse Trump is gonna make it.
For our climate?
Again, considering that Biden barely did anything efficient to reduce our carbon footprint, I'm not exactly sure how much worse of an effect a Trump presidency will have on our climate.
For science?
Your side is the one that can't even define what a woman is. Don't talk to me about science.
For journalism?
Ah yes, journalism. You know, that thing that the government squashed by suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story back in 2020 out of fear that its proliferation would cost Biden the election? I can really see how the side that's willing to do that is also the one that is upholding journalistic integrity.
For justice, for free speech?
You guys have been censoring and jailing political dissidents for the past 4 years. Shut the hell up.
It was a terrible night for poor people.
And you would know how the results of this election will affect poor people, being a rich celebrity and all.
For the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security.
I refer you to my last point.
For our allies in Ukraine. For NATO.
I'm sorry, sir, but this is the United States of America, so the only people whose interests I give a shit about are Americans.
For the truth and democracy and decency.
Your side is the one that says truth and morality are subjective. So how is this election a knock on either of those concepts?
And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
I would like to know what exactly he means by that, but something tells me that I'm never going to get an answer. That aside, we'll see how badly that line ages in the next 4 years.
But it was a really good night for Putin and for polio and for lovable billionaires like Elon Musk and the bros up in Silicon Valley and all the wriggling brainworms who sold what was left of their souls to bow down to Donald Trump.
I really hate to sound like a broken record here, but if Trump is literally Hitler and he's controlled by all of these malevolent interests, then why are we conceding the election to him without a fight?
But you know what? I'm going to say something that Trump would never say unless it favored him. The people voted, and this is the choice we made. In January, Donald Trump becomes president, and that's that. He won. Doesn't mean we give up, but it also doesn't mean we storm the Capitol because we don't like the result.
Okay, smart guy, then what the fuck is the solution here? Because none of y'all are contesting the results of this election in court. So, if you're not going to fight Hitler's rise to power through legal means, what other means are there to employ?
And, you know, I've been trying, I know a lot of people don't want to hear anything positive. I've been trying to come up with something positive. The best I can come up with is we've been through this once before. And yes, this time it is probably going to be worse, maybe a lot worse. But I also think that maybe we will look back and realize that in the long run, this is what we needed to wake us up. Maybe the people who care so much about him need to find out how little he cares about them.
Yeah, well, by the time that happens, your imaginary version of Donald Trump will have already installed the Fourth Reich and thrown all of his political prisoners in concentration camps. So, is this thinking really going to lead to any positive changes?
Now, all the promises he makes about stopping wars and imposing tariffs, and how he's going to crush inflation and cut taxes. Now he has to do this stuff. And I hope he does. I really do. I hope his next unpredictable act is to reach across the aisle and do something positive. He really does. The bar's low. He has an opportunity to win us over.
Again, this is a rare glimpse into the timeline where Jimmy Kimmel actually knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Maybe this time he'll shock us and actually do some productive things. He won't, probably, but he could. Or maybe the only good part of all this is he can't run again in 2028.
Oh, just you wait, Jimmy. Trump is going to use his influence to abolish the 22nd Amendment in order to establish himself as the President of the United States for the rest of his life.
Maybe next time the Republicans will nominate an orangutan for president. Why not? At least make it fun.
It would still be better than whoever the Democratic nominee for president will be.
Listen, I'm disappointed. I know a lot of you are too. I thought common sense would prevail. I'm so stupid. I always think it's gonna...
You and I have very different conceptions of what common sense means.
For a lot of people, this just isn't important. It's not high on their list. There's evidence that many voters didn't even realize Joe Biden wasn't on the ballot anymore. Over the past 2 days, there was a spike in Google searches for the phrase, "Did Joe Biden drop out?" Now, the idea that after all the talk about this election, I mean, it was literally the only thing people talked about for a year. So the idea that some Americans didn't know who was running seems so crazy to me.
Okay, so you're detailing how stupid young Americans are on average, and yet earlier in this monologue, you were chastising a voter who said that they voted for Donald Trump purely because he showed up on the Joe Rogan podcast while Kamala wouldn't?
1 minute, I'm watching these long lines in every city, and I think, oh, that's beautiful, democracy in action. Next minute, there's a reporter chatting with some bro at Arizona State who said he voted for Trump because Kamala didn't go on Joe Rogan's podcast. And I'm like, where did I leave my passport?
Again, even if we take what Jimmy Kimmel is saying at face value, wouldn't this just show him to be an out-of-touch moron who is incapable of gauging how the world around him is functioning? At the very least, it would prove that he's suffering from some pretty severe cognitive dissonance, at which point, I'm not sure who would really want to look to him for political analysis.
Well, it happened. Again. After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election.
Plot twist, the crowd is booing because Trump didn't win the election by an even bigger landslide.
The deep shock and sense of loss is enormous.
Speak for yourself, retard. I'm having a great time.
Okay, but let's look at the bright side. This way, at least there'll be a peaceful transfer of power.
Yeah, we're handing power over to a dictator who's going to turn America into a brutal authoritarian regime, but at least we're being peaceful about the transition of power. These are absolutely the types of people who would try and use the "I was just following orders" excuse to try and absolve themselves of the war crimes that they committed during the Nuremberg trials.
All day yesterday, I was walking around proudly wearing my "I voted" sticker. Today, I wore my "I am questioning my fundamental belief in the goodness of humanity" sticker.
Should I even have to say that we have wildly differing beliefs on what constitutes the goodness of humanity?
Now, as a late-night host, people often say to me, come on, part of you's gotta want Trump to win, because he gives you so much material to work with. No.
Not buying it.
I wish, you wish, so many of us wish this hadn't happened, but that is not for us to decide. This is a democracy. That's democracy with a capital duh. And in this democracy, the majority has spoken, and they said they don't care that much about democracy.
Man, he's not even trying to hide how hypocritical his moral posturing here is. One more time for the people in the back, y'all lost the election to someone whom you believe is Hitler 2.0, and yet you're just going to peacefully allow him to assume office?
And I want to take a moment to congratulate Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on running an amazing 107-day campaign. You know, come on. That was extraordinary. Right out of the gate. They hit it right out of the gate.
Okay, never mind. I take back everything that I've said up to this point. Stephen Colbert's brutal, sarcastic thoughts on the Harris campaign is fucking hilarious. I mean, that's what he's doing here, right? He's being sarcastic with his praise?
As we're all about to plunge back into the Trump hole, here's what occurs to me. The first time Donald Trump was elected, he started as a joke and ended as a tragedy. This time he starts as a tragedy. Who knows what he'll end as? A limerick? There once was a man who was orange. Damn it!
Is this supposed to be funny?
Who knows what the next 4 years are going to be like? What we do know is that we're going to be governed by a monstrous child surrounded by cowards and grifters. And my brain keeps pumping out an unlimited supply of ramifications. It's really hard to see a bright side here.
Okay, one, this monstrous child still kicked your ass, so you can call him whatever the fuck he wants. He doesn't give a shit because he still won the election. Two, this person's presidency is allegedly going to cause all of these negative ramifications for our democracy, and yet you're just gonna allow him to assume power? Yes, I am going to continue to question why y'all are allowing the second iteration of Hitler to assume power. You can't try and play the moral superiority card to insurrectionists if those insurrectionists end up winning. It's like saying, yeah, you may have raped my wife and burned our house down, but at least I'm good enough of a person to not murder you for it. I am not advocating for violence. I'm merely pointing out that by these guys' own logic, they should be. Or at the very least, they should be trying to contest the results of the election in court, but they're not doing that because they've already conceded the election. So again, what other recourse are they planning to take here?
Here's another kind of sort of silver lining. Last week, in a Wall Street Journal op-ed titled, "How Risky is a Trump Second Term?" they hopefully point out that in the last go-round, the authoritarian rule the Democrats and the press predicted never appeared because Trump was too undisciplined and his attention span too short. Well, there's a cup of sunshine. He's too unfocused to be a fascist. They might have promised to put immigrants in camps, but he doesn't have the concentration.
Ah, now this is the kind of high IQ political analysis that I come to late night talk shows for. My reasoning for why I think there's a chance that Donald Trump won't be Hitler 2.0 is because somebody else said so, and I'm going to take their literal word for it. These are the people that will sit there and claim that they're standing up for science and the truth, and yet the source of their justification for their moral values will be, just trust me, bro. Like, it's an opinion piece, Colbert. Do you not know what the word opinion means?
By 3 a.m. last night, Trump had picked up North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. In exit polls, voters said they were looking for the candidate who could bring needed change. Okay, but change, that's kind of a vague word. It includes a lot of possible outcomes. For instance, you could remodel your kitchen, or you could burn your house down. That's what you call an open concept.
Well, you could make that same point against people who voted for Kamala Harris for that exact same stated reason, so what are you trying to prove here exactly?
Not only was he reelected, but he did better in almost every demographic. One reason Trump might have exceeded his expectations is that some people didn't even know who was running against him. According to Google Trends, search interest for "Did Joe Biden drop out?" spiked on Election Day. What the hell? It happened a long time ago. You might as well be Googling, "Why no more Cosby?"
Yes, and I'm sure that people not knowing that Joe Biden had already dropped out of the race is the only reason why Trump did better in every single demographic in this election than he did in the last one. I'm sure there are no other reasons at all for why he did better with nearly every single voting bloc. Again, this is the kind of high IQ political analysis that I expect of Stephen Colbert.
This is rough. Last time Trump won, it felt like a grotesque fluke. This time, America knew exactly what they were getting, and they went hard for him anyway.
Does that not say a lot about how bad your side is, then?
The coming years are going to be fascinating.
I agree, Stephen. The next 4 years definitely are going to be fascinating.
But we can take comfort in knowing that we've been here before. We know what's coming.
4 more years of America being made great again? Alright, enough of these pretentious late-night hosts. Let's listen to what celebrities who don't have their own talk shows had to say about this election.
Okay, you know what? We're going to keep fighting. And, Trump will crumble. I mean, he's not looking too healthy these days.
Huh, yeah, that's what I thought about Joe Biden, and he's still here. Joking aside, if your literal only solution to stopping Hitler 2.0 from coming into power is hoping that he dies of old age, you are just the dumbest person.
And then President Vance will be terrifying and horrible because he's as crazy as Trump, but he's smart.
Yeah, exactly. So, why is this the solution that you're proposing?
And the way things are going in this country could then get reelected. We could have President Vance for 8 years.
Well, when you put it like that, this all sounds awesome.
Which I kind of wish some of my friends had thought about yesterday that weren't voting. So now we're paying the price.
Wow, these are really deep and philosophical words that are really making me question my fundamental worldview. But seriously, what price are we paying? If anything, Donald Trump is going to make things cheaper to buy.
And freedom isn't free, and we've been free.
Really?
And technically, we're still a democracy.
A democracy that we voted over to literal Hitler, so again, how are you going to square away that inconsistency? You can't extol how morally virtuous you are for accepting the results of the election when the person being voted in is a literal dictator. This is like saying, yeah, that serial killer may have murdered my entire family, but at least I had the good sense to not call him a bad person. Like, I'm sorry, but the only people who you're gonna be able to win over with this logic are retards.
The inauguration's going to be a shit show.
No, it's not.
Gays, you may not be safe. So to be gay in America, much less trans, because they're obsessed with trans people, to be LGBT in America is not going to be a safe thing anymore.
And I'm basing this assessment on... But seriously, you're here saying that we're obsessing over trans people when you guys are the ones who won't stop pushing your insipid gender ideology in all of our entertainment.
So, to be a woman in America will be even less safe than it already is.
At least, that's what the corpse of my ex-husband tells me every time I go to sleep.
So, take care of each other. Have plans. Make sure you know how to gather support if you're afraid to walk down the street.
Yeah, none of this is gonna help you when we get the concentration camp set up, so you might as well be talking complete nonsense.
You know, get more politically active. Not sure what's going to happen in my lifetime, but the kids will figure it out.
Yeah, that's what y'all banked on in this election, and y'all lost hard. So I think it's time to come up with a different plan.
I know this will get me in trouble, but I really, really wish Taylor Swift had done an event with Vice President Harris.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania 2 months ago.
Wait a minute, but Jimmy Kimmel just got done telling me that that one voter in Arizona was stupid for voting for Donald Trump purely because he showed up on the Joe Rogan Experience.
1 minute I'm watching these long lines in every city and I think, oh, that's beautiful, democracy in action. Next minute there's a reporter chatting with some bro at Arizona State who said he voted for Trump because Kamala didn't go on Joe Rogan's podcast. And I'm like, where did I leave my passport?
Can the Hollywood elites please get their messaging straight? Should celebrity endorsements matter or not?
Okay, I just had to say that because she is so powerful, and it's not fair that the weight of the world should be on a pop star's shoulders.
You know, the funniest part about this is that even if Taylor Swift had done that, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference anyways.
I just did not realize how racist and misogynistic America still is.
Hey, so you know how we lost this election because we called everyone who disagreed with us racists and sexists? Well, do you want to know what the smartest way to rectify this is? To continue to call our opponents racists and sexists. God, these celebrity reactions are getting really fucking stupid. Let's check in with Ron Perlman. The actor who played Hellboy should be saying smarter stuff than this.
When you're smiling, oh, when you're smiling, and the whole world, she smiles with you.
What the hell?
When you're laughing, no, keep on laughing, and that sun comes shining through.
Okay, you know what? These celebrities clearly don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Let's go back to shitting on plebs.
Y'all wanna violate my stuff? I don't give a fuck about none of that, because all the people that's violating my freaking live right now are Trump supporters.
Yeah, you're really making it look like you don't care about the people who are trolling you by having this massive freakout in your car over their comments.
Y'all the only ones happy about this shit right now. Y'all the only ones.
Yeah, well, we account for about half of the country, so there are plenty of us out there who are quite happy about how the election turned out.
Y'all see I got my blue on.
Yeah, it's good to point that stuff out for the people watching your video who are blind.
I done cried so fucking much that my blue went up, and I have to wear red because this is my freaking job. If I didn't have to wear this stupid ass color, I wouldn't be wearing it. Trust and believe me.
Oh my god. A black woman who actually has a job and doesn't just rely on the welfare system? Looks like they do exist.
You voted for a racist.
Which is why some of the positions of his administration have been filled by minorities.
Rapist.
An alleged rapist. Last I checked, allegations are not proof.
Dictator.
He's already been president for 4 years, and America didn't become any more of a dictatorship. What the fuck are you on about?
You voted for a bully, a bigot, and a narcissist.
The people have already made their choice, so is this sort of moralizing bullshit really gonna change anything? This is the type of speech you give before the election in order to sway people into voting for your candidate. But when the election has already been decided, sitting there calling Trump all of these names isn't gonna change anything.
You voted for someone who said he would have no problem using the military to kill his opponent.
Yeah. Considering that the mainstream media just tried to lie about what Donald Trump said about Liz Cheney, I'm gonna need a source for that claim, woman.
You voted for mass deportation of people, including people that are here legally.
Hey, Mr. President, would you like to respond to this point for me?
We're going to have to seal up those borders, and we're going to have to let people come into our country. We want people to come back in, but we have to We have to let them come back in, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in legally.
Thanks, Don. I knew I could count on ya.
If you think you voted for someone who's going to somehow give you more money and put more money in your pocket, you were tricked.
Man, if only you had told people this before the election, then Trump might have lost.
None of his concepts of economic plans will ever benefit anyone who isn't a millionaire or billionaire.
I mean, you could say the same about Kamala Harris's economic plans, so your point?
America failed women tonight.
Well, good. Fuck women.
Primarily, Trump has insulted women, berated them.
Oh no, how horrible. Truly, that is the worst thing that somebody could ever do.
Has been found liable in court for assaulting a woman.
Well, technically, since Trump is currently appealing the verdict, he hasn't actually been held liable for that.
And he took women's reproductive rights away.
Yeah, especially with how he let the states choose for themselves whether or not they wanted abortion to be legal.
I just want to know what the backup plan is, because surely Joe Biden, somebody surely thought they should come up with some sort of plan if he did win. So I just want to know what the backup plan is.
You know what? This woman is actually asking a pretty good question. Now that someone who they believe is Hitler 2.0 has ascended to the White House, what exactly is the plan from here? Because they're not contesting the results of the election in court, and all of the mainstream celebrities have urged people not to be violent because we don't want to be like the insurrectionists who overtook the Capitol on Jan 6th. So, like, what are they gonna do about the new Adolf Hitler looking to make America into a brutal fascist regime?
Because you just went a whole year scaring the hell out of me about Project 2025. And now it's about to happen? And you just think we're all just supposed to fucking go to work now?
Lady, I really hate to be the one to have to tell you this, but yes, that is exactly what they're expecting you to do.
Knowing that what we're about to go through means the possibility of me losing more of my rights, and that being a real threat, is insane.
Not as insane as Roman expecting Nico to do the deal with Dimitri at the end of GTA 4. Like, seriously, even if he is a greedy asshole, Roman should know better than to trust someone who put him and his cousin through literal hell for most of the game. But I digress.
Okay, so we're closing in on almost 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I've been tracking everything that's been going on across the country today. And my most important encounter was when I went out to get my champagne.
Of course this woman drinks champagne. I would be more surprised if she didn't drink champagne.
I was talking to the guy in the store, of course, asking him did he vote, and he said he did early voting, and he asked me if I early voted. And he asked me, you know, why I was getting the champagne, and I said because I'm going to be toasting Madam President tonight.
You poor naive chump.
And he just looked at me with kind of like a smirk on his face, and I said, you know, she's going to win this, right?
You poor naive chump.
He says, oh, well, it's very, very close. And I said, no, it's not. He says, well, what do you mean? I said, no, it's not. The women of America are making their voices heard. Reproductive rights is what it all comes down to. And the women are voting in numbers relative to men that are unbelievable. She's won this.
You poor naive chump.
And I said to him, she's going to take every one of the swing states plus Iowa.
Okay, I can't keep playing the Speed Racer clip over and over again, but like, what else am I supposed to say about this? Not only was this woman wrong, but she was massively wrong. Like, the most wrong that you could possibly be. And I would feel bad for her because this is just the sort of delusional bullshit that mainstream media has fed her if it weren't for what she says next.
And he said, oh, but the numbers are so close. I said, I'm a political analyst. I'm telling you right now, the numbers are there. She's taking this election.
So, knowing what I know about her now, all I can really say is, it looks like someone is about to lose their job at CNN.
And then I said to him, you realize, and he didn't tell me who he voted for, but of course I knew. And I said, you do realize you wasted your vote, right? And I didn't care. And I walked out with my bottle of champagne and happily walked home. Bye-bye.
No joke, this woman is giving off some serious psycho vibes. Like, if I'm walking down the street and I see her about to pass me by, I'm crossing the road. Nobody who has these kind of mannerisms is well in the head.
Call your friends, check on them. And get ready, because we're in for one hell of a ride. With him at the helm. And no immunity guardrails.
Yeah, you and all of your friends are gonna need to use this time to get out of the country before Trump gets sworn in and starts building his concentration camps.
Hey, if you're a Donald Trump supporter, you're ugly and dumb.
Damn, I could live with being dumb, but I gotta be ugly too? Come on, lady, give me at least some chance to win at life.
And that's sad for you. And what's even sadder is that you don't even realize how ugly and dumb you are.
Wouldn't that be a good thing, though? I mean, they say that ignorance is bliss for a reason.
I just scum. Bottom of the barrel scum. Literal pond scum. Go fuck yourselves.
Okay, if you haven't realized that you need to change the batteries in your smoke alarm, then you have no business calling anyone else dumb.
Also, Donald Trump supporters, please come into my comments with those stupid copy-paste laughing emojis. I would love to go on every single one of your profiles and reply with a personal insult.
Oh god, this woman heard the "don't feed the trolls" adage and took it as a sarcastic comment.
Do it. Do it!
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, lady, you seem to have some semblance of a conscience in your head, so don't succumb to peer pressure.
Fuck that TV and fuck that asshole!
I just don't get it. Why destroy a TV? Don't you have any idea how useful and expensive TVs are? Even if you buy like a cheap one, you're still gonna be out at least $100. Like, if you're going to break something out of rage, at least break something that you won't have to wait until your next paycheck to replace.
Do it! I'll buy it.
Damn it! Mob mentality won again.
Okay, maybe not that fucking hard.
Okay,
So, is this like the female version of post-nut clarity?
Bitch, are we serious right now?
Well, that depends. What are you questioning the sincerity of?
Are we serious? Fuck the sad music montage, bitch.
Aw, but I like Coldplay.
What in the fuck? I'm mad as hell. What the fuck is going on? Y'all sitting here crying. I'm crying too. I'm mad. What did y'all do?
Okay, I have no idea what the hell this woman is trying to say, so I'm just gonna move on.
If you thought you were involuntarily celibate before, wait until you see what women are like when they realize that having one of your babies could cost them their life.
Okay, so first of all, I'm voluntarily celibate. And second of all, why don't you just move to a state that hasn't criminalized abortions? Again, Trump can't do anything to criminalize abortion on a federal level because the Supreme Court has ruled that it's a state's issue. If you want to kill your baby, then just head to a state that will let you do it and stop with the bullshit fear-mongering.
Oh, you definitely won't be getting any.
That implies that I was trying to get any.
And you know what? It's what you deserve. But now these women can focus on their careers,
which they weren't at risk of losing anyways.
They can focus on their female friendships,
which they probably weren't gonna lose anyways.
You already hate the fact that there are rich aunties out there, child-free and happy.
Well, I don't actually, because those types of women actually make up a fairly large portion of Kamala Harris's supporters, and she lost the election by a landslide.
You just made even more of them.
Well, if that's the case, then 2028 is going to be a really easy election for the Republicans to win.
Ladies, I'm not saying this to be facetious, but I don't care if you're a rose girl, a wand girl, or a monster alien tentacle girl. Stock up now for your moments of weakness, because I promise you ain't no alive worth getting stuck with a man.
I have never been at such a loss for words before in my life.
6 years! 6 fucking years! It took us 6 fucking years to get our citizenship!
Well, if you've already been naturalized, then what the fuck are you crying about? Trump isn't gonna get rid of all immigrants, just the illegal ones.
I know some people need more time. I know some people don't ever get their citizenship, but...
Well, they should have thought about that before they broke into this country.
We worked so hard for it. She worked so hard for it. I was just a kid. We came here because she wanted a better life for us. She wanted a better education for us. She wanted for us to have a better future.
Again, didn't you say earlier that y'all already got your citizenships? If that's the case, then what the fuck are you crying for?
And when you are bleeding out in an emergency room, when they take away your right to vote, all of these things that are about to happen to you, they're not going to ask you who you voted for.
This was a liberal melting down, wasn't it? Because this sounds like the sort of thing that I would say.
So you know how girls and young women are just being abused and harassed by men and boys with the "your body, my choice" comment that went viral yesterday after Trump was elected?
Oh my god, are you really suggesting that simply saying a spicy comment to a woman counts as harassment? God damn, our society is made up of some weak fucking people.
Yeah, that comes from, Nick Fuentes, did I say his name right? That ultra-right KKK podcaster who loves Donald Trump and has millions of young men and older men following him.
So this is how you know that this woman doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, because Nick Fuentes has openly criticized Trump and has openly said that neither he nor his supporters will be voting for him. In fact, didn't he just get into a huge shitstorm on Twitter after trying to take credit for Trump's victory? You'd think if this woman is gonna take the time out of her day to rant about Nick Fuentes, she would be angry at him for the right reasons.
You're gonna vote for a felon.
For the millionth time, he's only a felon because the establishment pushed phony charges on him.
Racist, misogynistic, idiot.
I love how she struggled to come up with a third thing to call Trump and then just gave up and wound up calling him an idiot. You, sir, are not just a racist, but you're also a misogynist. And worst of all, you're an idiot.
Cheeto of a man.
Whoa, what a sick burn.
And own that, you should have to own that decision. And that should be public knowledge.
Done and done.
And your future employers should know, and anyone you encounter should be able to look that up.
So she's not saying it outright, but she is implying that you should lose your job if your employer finds out that you didn't vote for the right candidate. This right here is why I had no sympathy for the people who lost their jobs over openly supporting and celebrating the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. This woman will not hesitate to put your life on the chopping block if you do not have the correct politics. And so, if the cultural sword happens to swing the other way, I'm not gonna give a shit. You made the bed, you lay in it.
How does this not go without saying? But white people, white women especially, at this moment, do not go to your black, your indigenous, your immigrant, your queer, your trans. Do not go to that person in your life that you feel is a little bit more oppressed than you are, because obviously you're feeling fucking oppressed, and ask for like help with it.
Man, I just cannot understand the psychology of people who hate themselves this much. You being white doesn't make your life any less valuable than anyone else's. And quite frankly, I am fucking sick of seeing this victim Olympics bullshit being perpetuated in our culture. Isn't it funny how the people who will claim to be champions of mental health awareness will disregard the mental health of a person if they don't belong to a protected class? Yeah, I don't know. Something about that is just fucking gross to me.
I'm gonna seduce your husband. I'm gonna seduce your husband.
Joke's on you, I'm not gay.
I'm going to look him in the eye, and I'm gonna explain to him that nobody has ever made me feel the way he has. And I'm younger than you conservative woman that married him.
Aren't these the same people who criticized Trump for not being loyal to his spouse? I guess it's alright to cheat, so long as you're doing it for a good cause.
And I'm gonna start, like, explaining that I'm just so fun and I like doing fun shit. Because you're probably married and you can't do fun shit.
Spoken like somebody who has never been married before.
We're scared for our lives, we're scared for our friends, like...
You should be, because these camps aren't gonna fill themselves.
You have pro-life women dying because their doctors are scared to treat them because of the repercussions of his last presidency.
Sheesh, that claim stinks. Probably because you just pulled it out of your ass.
How did we get here?
Well, lady, I would love to tell you about a beautiful little thing called a democracy.
This is what my husband sent me first thing in the morning. He had already left for work. I was depresso espresso.
Okay, can we pass a law that imposes the death penalty on anybody who unironically uses the phrase depresso espresso? Like, I never cringe harder than I do when I hear someone say those two words.
Vasectomy, we need to change our names, we need to get our passports, we need to do financial planning. This stands for financial independence, early retirement, prep, runaway fund, donations to worthwhile causes, physical fitness.
Well, bye. I would say not to let the door hit you on the way out, but given how fat you probably are, that's going to happen anyways.
I have decided that my personal revenge for this 2024 election fiasco is to be a menace to men on dating apps.
You're acting like women haven't already been doing that for the past decade.
I'm going to re-download probably, just Tinder and Hinge, and match up every single man.
Well, this would make finding you and putting you in the concentration camp a lot easier.
I think the hardest part of all of this is just like thinking about all the men who were just like, the economy, woman in my life. The economy, woman in my life.
I know, the fact that there are men out there who would rather choose the woman is distressing.
Women's rights also includes things like access to contraceptives.
Yeah, but why though?
There are men and women who believe women shouldn't have access to Plan B, shouldn't have access to birth control.
I don't get it. What's the problem?
These are all the rights of women.
Thinking women should have rights. That's a good one.
Sometimes they appear in history, sometimes not. With J.D. Vance in office, the right to vote for a single woman could become a topic of conversation.
I've already warmed up on J.D. Vance. You don't have to keep selling him to me.
I just dropped my son off at school, and there were dozens of parents, unlike ever before, walking their kids all the way to the gate. There was at least a half a dozen parents holding their child and crying with them. Crying with them.
The next generation of kids are so screwed.
It's not okay
This is not okay. This.
Oh man, this is another great video. We could milk like so many great reaction memes out of it. Y'all already know that I came prepared, so let's get started. When you're late for a job interview because your car breaks down.
This simply will not do, and this is not okay, and I'm not good with this.
When YouTube gives you a community guideline strike simply for questioning the efficacy of one single vaccine.
This simply will not do, and this is not okay, and I'm not good with this.
When your favorite football team loses a one-score game on a last-second interception.
This simply will not do, and this is not okay, and I'm not good with this.
And finally, when you realize that Spectacular Spider-Man never got a Season 3 because Sony is a greedy fucking company.
This simply will not do, and this is not okay, and I'm not good with this. This is sick. This is sick.
You tell him, sister. Or brother. I can't really tell which gender you are.
That should not be there. And that's wrong. And you're wrong. And everything is wrong.
Hey, how do you know what my mother's first words to me were after she gave birth to me?
And this house is not even my house. You just bought it for me and I don't want it.
Okay, I genuinely do not know what that means, but I would really like to find out. What do you mean that's not your house? And what do you mean you don't want it? There are just so many questions that line raises, but unfortunately, I don't have the time to look into it, so we're gonna move on.
I took the morning to grieve. That's all the time we have. Now is your time to start making a plan. Women, I'm here to talk to you today. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to delete your period tracking app. I don't care what state you're in. Go into your history, take out a paper planner, write down your history so that you have it, because I know that you track it, you use it to track ovulation and all of that stuff. You can't do that in an app anymore. Before you delete the app, you're going to delete your data out of the app. That's not a sure way to make sure that they can't use it against you later, but it helps.
This is a really complicated plan, and I'm not entirely sure what it's for. Like, is this to keep men from being able to impregnate you when we stick you into breeding pens? Or is this like a weird form of birth control? I'm pretty sure just moving to another state would take less effort than following this insane regimen.
Woke up this morning so disappointed in America, and I just want to say, if you contributed to putting a xenophobic, homophobic, misogynistic, racist, transphobic, convicted felon in office, I mean this in the most hateful, disrespectful way possible. I hope the next 4 years of your life are the worst 4 years that you've ever had.
This fake outrage is starting to get really boring.
I'm disgusted enough to never order a Tesla as long as I shall live.
With all due respect, you don't exactly strike me as the kind of person who's able to afford a Tesla to begin with.
I want to take this moment to congratulate those of you who voted for Donald Trump, which was the overwhelming majority of Americans.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. In fact, I take back that snide remark I just made.
You chose to vote for a dictatorship.
Hell yeah I did, nigga, and I would do it again.
My immigrant mother just called me on the phone, innocently asking me if she should start carrying her passport in case they start doing mass deportations to prove that she's a citizen.
And as long as she does, then she's not going to be deported. So, what the fuck are you crying about?
This is all pretty great. Like we're just gonna wake up tomorrow morning and everything's gonna go back to the way it'll be a psych. It'll be like a really bad dream, and none of this will have ever happened. Like it'll be like the first time, and then we're all gonna pull through fine in 4 years. Correct? Please? Someone tell me?
Sure. Whatever you say, honey.
I can tell you one thing right now, marriage is the farthest thing from on the table currently. So they screwed the pooch on that one if they thought that any of this was going to actually help with the whole family and kids department and lowering birth rates, because that, not even.
And yet these same people will sit there and wonder why men go off to marry Asian women.
Any semblance of thoughts I had or hope for that is completely gonna be a no thanks for me, love.
Oh no, how terrible.
You think I would ever even dare bring a child into this country now? It was rough before. Now? No.
I'm actually feeling the opposite way. I am glad that you don't have a child because I shudder to think what type of upbringing they might have.
For the astrology girlies, I just want to know, I have been studying Kamala's charts, and it looks like she is not only going to win, but she is going to be winning a second term. The next 8 years in her chart look really, really strong. Trump's, not so much.
Are you sure the charts aren't upside down?
Okay, so I was wrong. A lot of astrologers were wrong. A lot of us were wrong.
Well, I'll give her credit for admitting it.
But if you think that right now is the time to tell me that you don't believe in astrology, who gives a f about astrology right now, dude? Who literally f cares about that? That is like the least of our f worries.
Excuse me, but as an aspiring astrologist, I don't take kindly to you shitting all over my priorities.
This is my career. I have built a life off of reading the stars for people and getting it right.
And yet you got it so wrong. Looks like you and that champagne lady are both gonna be out of work.
How am I supposed to go to work and do all of my normal daily activities when I know that we all just chose for things to get exponentially harder?
Well, I can only speak for myself, but putting on some inspirational music definitely helps.
This is a message to anyone who follows me. If you voted for Trump, unfollow me and block me. If you didn't vote, unfollow me and block me.
Yeah, well, I don't have TikTok and I didn't know who you were until now, so I don't have to worry about doing either of those things.
The fact that it's this close means I've lost all hope in the American people. Like, it should not be this close.
I know, right? Trump's victory should have been wider.
Why would anyone vote for this person? He's so evil. He's so demented.
It probably has something to do with the fact that Kamala Harris just sucks as a candidate.
Kamala's not perfect. We all know that.
Yeah, exactly. You just answered your own question, so why am I here?
Is anyone else having a meltdown?
No, it's just you.
I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to wait. I'm so stressed.
You could try taking some SSRIs. I hear those help out a lot.
How you can't look out into the world, into the people of this country and see what's happening. And how hard we're all fighting for rights not to be taken away.
Well, seeing people defending drag queens stripping in front of children tends to turn you pretty conservative.
I was just walking down the street to go get my medication because I'm out and I need it for today.
To the shock and surprise of no one.
And I saw a woman walking her 2 kids, and she had this look on her face.
Man, this is the weirdest opening to a lesbian porno ever.
And I looked at her, we made eye contact, we both kind of nodded. Like we were both
crazy.
Just devastated.
Yes, I can imagine that you would feel pretty devastated upon learning that you will no longer be able to mutilate the genitals of your children anymore.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is there's a blue bracelet that we need to wear.
Ah, what? But I already ordered a red one on Amazon. God damn it!
Because I want to make sure that nobody ever thinks that I am one of the apparently majority of white women who voted for Donald Trump. I do not want you ever to think that I was one of them.
Thank you. We are gonna need a pretty clear indicator of who to throw in the concentration camps.
So, is there a particular bracelet? Do we just make it ourselves? Let me know. Send me a link. What do we do?
maybe it's just me, but if you're asking these sorts of questions this late into the game, then you're probably never going to go out and actually buy a bracelet like this.
I'm going to get drunk today, and I'm gonna act like an angry black woman, because I'm angry! I'm mad! I'm upset! I'm angry as bro.
Man, y'all really love to beat those stereotypes about black women, don't y'all?
I'm angry, I'm hurt, my feelings are hurt.
Alright, I get it. Also, I can't tell if she's saying my feelings are hurt or my feelings are heard.
We always finish last, we always come last to everybody, even our own men.
Just like God intended.
And you niggas mamas be black.
Wow, I didn't know that. Does this mean that I've had the N-word pass this whole time?
If you're queer and your family voted for Trump like mine did, hi, hello, I'm your mother now. Just checking in. Have you drank water today? Did you eat? Did you take your meds? Did you breathe? Are you breathing? You gotta breathe in your belly, babe.
There are not enough words in the English language to describe the visceral disgust I felt upon watching that clip. I routinely get a lot of jokes and insults about how I look like a caveman and a hippie, but you know what? I would rather look like a bohemian than whatever the fuck is going on here. I genuinely do not want to know what possesses someone to think that it's okay to dress like this. I am not a Christian, but people like this make me genuinely think that another crusade is in order.
I always knew that America hated women. I knew America hated women, that we weren't seen, we weren't heard, we weren't valued.
I know! That's what makes living in this country so great!
I knew American women hated women.
Which is what makes American women slightly better than women of other countries.
I just did not know how much we were truly hated until this morning.
What, did 2016 not clue you into that, dumbass?
This country, America, is a shithole. It's garbage.
You know, the funny thing is, I agree with that, just not for the same reasons.
Talk about a floating island of garbage. Jesus Christ.
Wow, somebody failed geography in high school. America is a continent, not an island.
You all would rather put a rapist and a felon in our White House.
Correction, alleged rapist and phony felon.
I hate all of you just as much as you hate us. F you.
Well, at least she's wearing her heart on her sleeve.
Oh boy, I'm not ready for the world. I just came back from the grocery store and I saw a white woman with a Trump bumper sticker on her car, and I told her exactly what I thought of her. I called her a dumb B-word.
I don't get it. Is dumb blonde really the worst insult you can throw at somebody?
I don't even like that word, but so maybe I should stay home a little while longer because I'm not ready. Yeah, anyway, I hope you guys are doing okay.
Don't you just feel great knowing that psychos like this are living among us in everyday society?
So, now that the orange turd has won...
Alright, can you guys, please come up with better insults than this? Because that was just pathetic.
We should now rename America Hell, because it is going to be hell on Earth.
It's already been hell on Earth for those of us that are living in reality.
Once they strip everyone's rights away that is no straight, white, cis man.
Man, who would have thought that democracy would be a terrible form of government?
So buckle up. Hope you frickin' Republicans are happy. I'm out of here.
Hearing that you're leaving has already made me pretty happy, so thanks for that.
Hi guys, this video has been done a few times for me because I'm struggling myself.
With what? Walking down the stairs?
And I know there's others that are struggling as well as of the election results currently. Why yes, every vote still needs to be recounted and everything else, Nothing is officially, but it is official.
Considering that both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have already conceded the race, it is official.
I just want to let you all know that if you need to talk, I will be available to talk.
I appreciate the offer, but I don't really think you're gonna like the things I have to say.
If you want to talk to other family members or anything, have a bottle of wine, an entire bottle of wine. It's okay. Having ice cream.
Yes, because stuffing your body with more poison is definitely what you need.
So I'm liking what I'm hearing about the blue friendship bracelet movement.
What the fuck happened to your forehead?
But I personally want something more permanent, more serious.
Was it a complication of a surgery?
I'm wholeheartedly devoted to what I believe in, and that's love.
Is it a really weird birthmark?
So can we come up with a tattoo and placement of that tattoo to mark ourselves?
Is it like a visible tumor? Because I've heard that those things exist, but I didn't imagine them looking this fucking weird.
To identify ourselves to other women and men who share our values, who know that we are a safe person to be with.
Does her forehead look that weird because this is an AI video?
I will gladly get this agreed upon tattoo. I'd like to get it today, but I'm sure we can't agree that quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so distracted by how weird your forehead was that I completely skipped over what you were saying. Can we run that clip over again? What was that? We can't run that clip over again? People are already pissed that this joke has been going on for too long? Okay, I guess we're moving on.
Good morning. It is November 7th, Thursday.
I'm just gonna say what date it is, just in case you're blind, or illiterate, or dyslexic, and can't read the fucking caption that I put up on screen.
And got my lipstick on today, so I'm a little bit more together. We're putting a plan together. I cannot live in a country that voted for Trump. I cannot spend another 4 years under that man.
Thank you.
And so we have made the decision that we are leaving.
What? Am I supposed to be sad that you're leaving?
We're putting a plan together. Our plan is to go back to Australia, and by back, that is where obviously Tam and our daughter Jordan was from.
Sounds pretty good to me. Go be Australia's fucking problem.
So here's a problem that I have dealing with my MAGA sons.
They just don't use coasters.
They get very, very offended if I say that I think that they are ignorant to some things.
Hey, I would also get pretty pissed if my mom questioned my cooking skills.
Because of their support for this rapist and felon.
Or maybe it's because he's not a rapist or a felon, and you've just bought into the lies that mainstream media have sold you, and your sons are tired of hearing you regurgitate them.
But here's the thing. I have two choices when I try to understand.
Okay, what the fuck is going on with that beeping in the background? Is your house on fire? I think you need to go take care of that first and save the political posturing for later.
Why they would support an abhorrent human that goes against every value I tried to instill in them. Here's my two choices. I can believe that you are ignorant, or I can believe that you are evil.
You know, let's not even argue from the position that Trump is innocent of most of the claims that have been made against him in court, and argue using the mother's own logic. There is a chance that you could just be a shitty mother who did not instill those values in your sons as well as you think you did. But I already know that expecting a leftist to take responsibility for their own actions is a fool's errand.
Ignorant is the kinder choice.
Sure, but your sons are still burying you in a nameless grave.
Unfortunately, because of the color of your skin, you gotta be 3 times as good.
That must be why we have a black man on the Supreme Court right fucking now.
We don't have time for this anymore.
But miss, I have to take my asthma medication every half hour. We do not have time for this anymore.
I don't have time for interruptions.
I was just asking if I could go to the bathroom.
I don't have time for y'all to be unfocused because y'all need to get y'all educated. This matters.
If this is the kind of education that my future children are gonna be getting, I would rather just homeschool them.
And I gotta make sure that y'all are prepared to be 3 times as good.
What the hell are you talking about? I'm like a straight A student.
To step into any room and understand that you belong to be there.
Did she just say that you belong to be there?
That you belong to be there.
Well, it's no wonder that these kids are doing so poorly in life. You can't even teach them basic English.
It's serious.
Ma'am, please get off our campus. You are not employed here.
Do not detransition. Do not stop being publicly gay. Do not dye your hair back to a natural color. Do not take out your piercings. Do not cover up your tattoos.
Thank you for the advice. We're going to need an easy way to spot which of you is going to be put into the concentration camps.
That is what they want you to do. They want all of us to look alike. They want none of us to be gay. They want us all to be normal.
You know that want and force mean 2 different things, right?
All you're doing when you convert to them is making them feel like they have every right to be rude to those who still want to be out. Because, oh, look at this person. They detransitioned. They used to be gay.
And obviously, the only reason why someone would detransition or pursue a heterosexual relationship is because they were bullied into it by the dominant culture. Also, it's just perfect that the cat jumped into frame there. Like, of course this woman has a cat. Why wouldn't she have a cat?
Get weirder. Be crazier. They already don't like us. So, who cares?
You know what? I can kind of respect that in a way. I've been preaching the same message, just towards conservatives instead.
If you're wondering if it's hard to be a therapist right now, it is. It really is.
Oh God, if this woman is your therapist, then you need to ask for a refund immediately.
You know, watching the pain and suffering that's come from this election, and listening to my clients say homophobic things to me, not knowing I have a wife, is really hard.
No, what's really hard is trying to come up with better commentary for this than what Mark Dice is able to achieve by merely laughing at you.
It's really
I'm crying.
And I have to validate them. I can't say anything.
Something tells me that that's not how therapy is supposed to work.
The first question I'm asking everybody in my life, from this moment forward, who did you vote for?
Well, I voted for Donald Trump, of course.
If I get anything aside from Kamala, get the out of my face.
You're the one bombarding me with your presence.
I am done.
That's what I keep telling myself about Skyrim, but I am never done with that godforsaken game.
Honestly, it costs me $0 to cut people off, and in this economy, I'm taking all the free shit I can get.
Oh yeah, and my life is definitely going to be so much worse knowing that you're not a part of it.
I had no idea 70% of y'all were feeling that way.
That's because you live in La La Land.
So I was on TikTok all day.
Wow, how shocking.
And saw that we're making bracelets. And I thought, okay, I've got beads. I can make some. My daughter's like, I want one. So I was making bracelets last night. And I ran out of string.
God damn, how many bracelets were you fucking making?
And I I don't even want to be in a store right now because people are walking around like everything's normal. And I'm like, are we in the same universe?
I would imagine that standard human behavior would be pretty bizarre to a Martian such as yourself.
And I'm really uncomfortable. I don't want to be around it. So anyways, I went to the craft store and I go to the bead section to buy some string and maybe a few more blue beads. And I see another young woman there buying blue beads.
If this doesn't go somewhere spicy, I'm gonna get really fucking pissed.
And I just looked at her and I said, are you making bracelets? She said, yeah. And I said, me too. And she started crying, and so did I. And she's like, I just came from therapy. I'm not okay. And I was like, I just got in a fight with my best friend over Project 2025. I'm also not okay. And she's like, can I hug you? And I said, yeah. So I'm just hugging this stranger and in Joanne Fabrics because we're just two white women who just wanted people to know. Not me. It wasn't me.
This woman is definitely a very stable person whom we will not see on any true crime documentary in the near future.
This morning, when I learned that Donald Trump had been elected president for a second time, the first thing I did was have a good long cry.
You know, like any normal, rational adult does.
The second thing I did was get on the phone and make a doctor's appointment for a surgical consultation to get my tubes tied. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a really long time, and I feel like now is the appropriate time to do it.
I'm sorry, I really can't be bothered to be that upset about this.
Before my option to choose that for myself and for my body is stripped away from me.
Who the hell is trying to take away your right to tie up your tubes? Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense.
Guys, how do you feel about the lot of us, blue voters, filing, I don't know if it would be a civil suit or a class action suit against Donald Trump and his minions for the stress and the anxiety and the effects on our mental health and physical health and well-being, along with the suffering of our relationships that Donald Trump has caused us?
Well, if you want my honest opinion, I think that plan sounds really fucking stupid.
I don't know, is it civil suit or class action suit?
It doesn't really matter what kind of suit it is. It'll get thrown out either way.
I think it would be appropriate. Who's in? I'm in. Sign me up. Let's go.
You know what? I would agree with this plan on the condition that I get to be there in court to see this case go down in flames.
Well, it's been rough. It was not what I was expecting at all, considering some of the rhetoric he has said.
I know. I'm also pissed at how bad of a game Starfield was. This is the last time I let Todd Howard's sweet lies fool me.
I thought we as a nation were smarter, but I guess not.
It's never their fault, is it? They can never even entertain the idea that it might be them that sucks. No, no, no. It's everyone else that's the problem.
To my transgender and friends and, the people who it affects, as long as you stay alive, they cannot say we don't exist.
First off, who the fuck is arguing that you don't exist? Disagreeing with how you perceive your own body is not the same thing as pretending as if you aren't alive. Second off, I think you are actually the best argument against modern gender ideology. This woman spent tens of thousands of dollars on gender reassignment surgery just to look like the human iteration of the nerd emoji. I cannot think of a better argument against transitioning than that.
Being a Satanist means rebelling against them because they're wrong.
Of course she's a Satanist. Why wouldn't she be a Satanist?
And as long as you draw a breath, every breath you take is a rebellion.
Every breath you take, every move you make.
Keep on fighting because you just have to.
Wow, great motivational words there, Patton.
Hail Satan, hail reason always.
Okay, it's not just modern gender ideology. You're also the best argument against being a Satanist. I mean, if this is where Satanism leads you, then I'm gonna go be one with God real quick.
Black women have every right to not trust, ever again, white women.
But what about the ones who cook really great pizza?
That 52% of you, again, voted against your own interests. Voted showing you don't care about the welfare or the lives of black women.
Man, if 52% of white women are this based, then I'm going to have to reconsider being a misogynist.
You're on your own now.
Haven't they been on their own for the past century? Like, what the fuck does that statement mean? Let's take a break from laughing at lefty tears by covering a rather interesting development. Leftists questioning the results of the election.
Dear POTUS, there are 20 million votes missing. No way there were 20 million fewer votes than 2020, with a massive 25 million surge in voter registration and record turnout. No way.
Whoa now, what's with this election denial? Don't you know that this nation has the most secure and fortified elections in the entire world, and if you dare to question the results of them, you're a conspiratorial fascist? I think someone's due to have their tweets taken down.
It's pretty weird that with record voter turnout all over America, there were 18 million fewer votes cast than in 2020.
Oh yeah, that is pretty weird. A reasonable person might conclude that some fraud was afoot. But since all of the people who raised questions about the results of the 2020 election were either shamed, censored, or in some cases jailed for their dissent, I think we should look elsewhere for an explanation.
I hope in the coming days someone is able to explain how we had record turnout but 18 million fewer votes than 2020. Both of these things cannot be true.
What are you talking about? Conservatives have been trying to tell y'all that something was off about the results of the 2020 election, but you had us all censored and ostracized.
How can we have had record turnout and 20 million fewer votes cast nationally?
Well, it's clearly because extraterrestrials meddled in our elections. Joking aside, I cannot get over just how rich it is that Democrats are questioning the results of this election when they spent the past 4 years punishing conservatives for doing the exact same thing in the last election. It really is the finest example that the only standard that leftists have is a double standard.
I still have this feeling that we're not done, that there's more to be said about this.
Unfortunately, there's not, because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both conceded the election already.
And isn't it American of us to question and be curious and validate before we give in?
I would be inclined to agree with you, but when conservatives were saying this exact same thing back in 2020, you had us all censored and imprisoned, so go fuck yourself.
So, I'm not giving up just yet.
Well, you better do it soon because I don't envision anything changing within the next few months. Let's put the kibosh on this conspiratorial rabbit hole by listening to some of the insane plans that some people have devised for how Democrats can still stay in power.
Okay, but for real though, Joe Biden could actually save us from a Donald Trump presidency. Yes, you're seeing this after the election results. It is 100% possible for Joe Biden to step down and make Kamala Harris the 47th president.
Joe Biden is the current sitting president of this country. At any moment, he can evoke the 25th Amendment, which is constitutional, which would allow him to step down, and Kamala Harris steps up and she would be the current president. And she could detest the fraudulent activity that's been going on with the election.
Yeah, considering that both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have readily conceded the election to Donald Trump without much of a fight, I think it's safe to say that none of this is ever going to happen. Speaking of our elected officials, let's take a look at what some of them had to say about the results of this election.
We are about to enter a political period that will have consequences for the rest of our lives.
Historians will call it the resurgence of the American Empire.
We cannot give up.
Well, y'all already conceded the election to Trump, so it's kinda looking like you have given up.
We now find ourselves in a time in history that has precedent.
Well, technically, but the last time a guy won non-consecutive terms in the White House was over 100 years ago. There's a lot of things that can change in a country during that time, so what kind of president should we prepare ourselves for?
And we find ourselves, I believe, in a time where there are, let's say, peers in history of mass movements of people that mobilize to protect one another in times of fascism and authoritarianism.
Oh, you mean like Patriot Front and the Proud Boys, right?
And this is the era that we are poised to enter.
Which is why we're not going to do anything substantial to ensure that this authoritarian doesn't get to the White House.
Donald Trump has talked about turning the military on U.S. citizens that he deems his domestic political enemies.
Ugh, I wish he actually had said that, then I would be even more enthusiastic in supporting him.
Authoritarians and people that he affiliates closely with and strongmen abroad in regimes like that, it is not uncommon to jail political dissidents or legislative opponents.
Yeah, but your side has done that literally all the time, so from what moral high ground are you preaching down at us from?
This is the world that we very realistically may be entering.
And if you genuinely believed that, then you would be doing everything in your power to stop this from happening. But you're not, so we all know you're full of shit.
I will not ask you to look for any silver linings.
Good, because I'm not the least bit upset about how the election shook out.
I will not ask you to feel anything but grief right now.
I think you're talking to the wrong person, Pocahontas.
Donald Trump won the election, and the consequences will be real and devastating.
Just think about it, you guys. In order to vote in our elections, you're gonna need an ID. Ooh!
But I'm reminding myself and you that on the road ahead, there will still be opportunities to fight back.
Yeah, for example, when you're serving food to your fellow inmates at the concentration camp, you can spit on the plates that you'll hand out to the officers that run said camp.
I can't tell you that we will win all of those fights. I can't tell you that we will win most or even any of them.
Wow, you're doing a really great job motivating your base, Warren. Listen, guys, there is a huge chance that we are going to achieve total failure and all of our dreams will be crushed into dust. But we can still do this.
But when we arrive at each of those moments, we will face a choice: to give up or to press forward.
And considering that you're conceding the election to Hitler 2.0, you've chosen to give up.
The far right wants us to feel powerless.
Since when are you the expert on what the far right wants? Plus, you just got done saying that your side is probably going to lose whatever fights they wage from here on out, so you're already doing the far right's job for them.
Extremists are counting on apathy, cynicism, heartbreak, or all of the above as their rocket fuel.
Huh, that's weird. I always thought it was policy that they were using to win people over to their side. Shows what I know about politics, right?
They are counting on us to point fingers at each other and to lose trust in our ability to ever make change.
Well, considering that those things had already been happening long before you decided to sit down and record this little speech, I would say that the far right were 100% right in doing that.
I absolutely refuse to give them that satisfaction.
Which is why I'm conceding the election to them.
We will continue to fight for each other.
And the best way to fight for each other is to concede the election.
Look, 8 years ago, in the dark days when Republicans took full power in Washington, I thought the Affordable Care Act would be gone with the snap of a finger. But the American people rose up. Activists like the late amazing Adi Barkan and countless others put their bodies on the line, quite literally. They made their voices heard. They saved health care for millions of families, and they paved the way for us to expand health care in the past few years.
Doesn't this anecdote just prove that Republicans are agreeable people that are willing to compromise with their opponents? If they were really fascistic, don't you think, with all of the power that they had in Washington, they would have crushed the Affordable Care Act if they had really wanted to?
And a grassroots movement against far-right control took back the House in 2018 and the White House in 2020 and the Senate in 2021.
Before they lost it again just a few short years later.
Don't let anyone tell you that those victories didn't make a real difference.
You don't need to tell me. My expensive groceries relay the message loud and clear.
More people could afford to go to the doctor and fill a prescription.
All thanks to Republicans being willing to compromise on the issue.
More people could go to work. More parents could afford to put food on the table for their kids and buy new coats for them in the winter.
Is this at all related to his spiel about the healthcare plan? Because I would love to know which economy she's lived under for the past 4 years.
Lives were saved.
Yeah, tell that to the Palestinians whose genocide we're funding.
As the far right works to roll back what we've achieved, they'll hope that we don't have the stomach to push back anymore. But we can choose to prove them wrong.
You know, you could have chosen to prove them wrong by contesting the results of this election in court, but you chose not to do that, so I would say that the far right were once again 100% right to do so.
We need each other. We take care of each other.
Man, that might be the biggest load of bullshit I've heard throughout all of the coping I've had to sit through.
And please, take care of yourself.
Look, for the last time, I let my hair grow this long because I like it, not because I'm depressed.
Take the time you need right now to be angry, hurt, confused.
Yeah, this video definitely wasn't made for me because I've been feeling nothing but happiness, excitement, and glee.
Hold your loved ones close.
Oh, limited edition Hulk figure, I know you'll never abandon me.
Find opportunities to be in community with others this week.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard!
Take social media breaks.
Wow, finally something she said that I can agree with.
Foster your connections. Make new ones. Reach out to someone that you've lost touch with. Tell them that you're with them no matter what lies ahead.
I've tried, but Akumu won't pick up the phone.
If the work you do makes a difference for just one person, that would be enough.
I agree, Elizabeth. I can't wait for this video to be uploaded and make so many people happy.
I will wake up every morning and choose to fight for our families, our freedoms, and our kids' futures.
And in order to fight for these things, I must concede this election.
I will do everything I can in my position to defend our values and to fight back.
And the easiest way for me to accomplish these goals is to concede the election.
To everyone who volunteered, who phone banked, who texted, who knocked doors, who brought cookies to volunteers, who put up a lawn sign, who gave a part of themselves to be a part of something bigger.
You're all suckers for wasting your fucking time.
You are the beating heart of our democracy.
Yes, the beating heart that the fascists are going to pull out of you in 2 months' time.
It will be an honor to keep fighting by your side.
You know, those words only leave a real impact when you're actually doing some fighting.
So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today.
That's not the only thing that's full, if you know what I'm saying.
Full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me.
Which I proceeded to squander by losing this election horribly.
Full of love for our country.
Which I showed by allowing millions of murderous illegal immigrants to invade it.
And full of resolve.
Which I'm displaying by not contesting the results of the election.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
Okay, but that doesn't mean anything because Trump is Hitler 2.0 and he's going to destroy our democracy and make himself a god emperor on day 1 of his second term. So, what exactly are you gonna do to contest this?
As long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting.
And the best way for us to keep fighting is to concede the election.
To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much.
So is there any reason why she couldn't say any of this on the night of the election?
To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support.
Whose encouraging words and statements in the weeks leading up to the election no doubt tanked my campaign.
To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue.
At least until Trump uses the military to get rid of you and install a new governor.
And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials.
How does it feel to have wasted all of your fucking time, retards?
I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran and the way we ran it.
Why?
Over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions.
That's why we decided to call anyone who didn't agree 100% with us all the names you can think of.
Bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future.
There must not be that many of those people around then, considering how badly you lost this election.
And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us.
Ha! That's the biggest lie I've heard from her thus far.
Now I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now.
Ah, gee, I wonder why that is.
I get it. But we must accept the results of this election.
Yeah, but why though?
Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
These idiots are clapping even though Kamala essentially just told them that she's going to allow Hitler 2.0 to come into power and turn America into a fascist authoritarian regime. Yeah, you guys are going to lose all of your rights, but at least we're going to allow that to happen peacefully. Well, at least I'll no longer have to wonder why people supported Kamala.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results.
Who the fuck said that? Was there like a countrywide meeting on fundamental American principles that I missed?
That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny.
Which we're gonna allow Donald Trump to turn America into by conceding the election to him.
And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it.
That's clearly not true because by your own logic, Donald Trump chose not to honor it and yet still won the election.
At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
Which you guys have definitely shown with all of your censoring of political dissidents.
And loyalty to our conscience and to our God.
Aww, it's so cute how you think that your side has either of those things.
My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
Alright, so translation, my opponent is going to destroy our democracy and I'm going to allow him to do it because my principles.
The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up.
Yeah, you can say that you're going to keep the fight going, but Trump has all of the power now. There's nothing stopping him from putting all of y'all into camps and torturing y'all for the next several years. Remember, it took the Western world quite a long time to do anything substantial about Nazi Germany, so do you really think that things are gonna be any faster this time? All of that hypothetical blood is going to be on your hands because you chose not to do anything when this dictator won the election.
I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations.
She says, in the middle of a speech that's just one long way of saying, I'm giving up.
Where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do.
Which is why I'm conceding the election.
We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence.
Which is why our administration has done everything in its power to release violent criminals on bail while restricting the rights of law-abiding citizens to own firearms.
And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld.
You know, none of this is gonna mean anything because your imaginary version of Donald Trump is going to come in and destroy all of these things within 2 months. It's hard to get too inspired when you're directly telling us that you're just gonna hand power over to a dictator.
And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square.
But you've been telling us throughout this entire election cycle that Trump is going to strip everyone who's not a straight white man of their rights to vote and to speak. The only reason for why you would say this, in spite of that being your stated position, is that you were lying to us. But that would imply that you guys suck, and that can't possibly be the case.
And we will also wage it in quieter ways.
Yeah, the past hour's worth of shrieking that I've had to endure in this video proves to me that nobody took that seriously.
In how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
By looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
By always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve.
Yeah, don't you just feel built up from how your children are being force-fed radical leftist propaganda in their public schools? I know I sure felt empowered when Biden armed the IRS in order to help them seize whatever assets they feel I owe them. And all of the people who have called me a racist, misogynist, transphobe merely for saying that there are two genders are really making me feel like I'm part of something greater than myself.
The fight for our freedom will take hard work.
Which is why we're not going to be engaging in any sort of work at a time when it would be most crucial for us to do so.
But like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work.
Yeah, I know that Trump is going to come in and install the Fourth Reich, but we've just got to peacefully allow him to do that because those are the values that America was founded on.
And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it.
If that's the case, then why aren't you contesting the results of the election?
To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed. But please know it's going to be okay.
How? How exactly is it going to be okay?
On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win.
Well, it does mean that, in the case of an authoritarian coming into power and establishing a brutal fascist regime. Which, need I remind you, is what you've been saying Trump is going to do if he gets elected. So yeah, all of this flowery bullshit sounds nice, but it ultimately means nothing in the face of that impending danger.
The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place.
I refer you to my last point.
You have power. You have power.
Yes, I'm going to sit here and tell you not to give up while I'm up here giving up on the most important fight of our lives.
And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before.
This sounds like the sort of thing that Trump said about his victory. Are we sure that she didn't just copy parts of his speech and just slightly reword them?
You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair.
Why not?
This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves.
Meaning what exactly? You haven't laid out a battle plan that isn't going to be immediately railroaded by your imaginary version of Trump. So, unless you're going to start calling for violence, I'm not exactly sure how we're supposed to fight back against this incoming dictator.
This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together.
Yeah, but how are we going to do any of those things in a society where all of our rights are going to be trampled by the federal government? It's kind of hard to do any organizing when you're shoved into a concentration camp.
Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain.
Whom you no doubt sent to prison for extraordinarily long periods of time, regardless of the severity of their crimes.
And yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge.
Man, the Democratic Party must be in a pretty sad state of affairs if they're forced to go, we should follow the example of all of these rapists and pedophiles and murderers when they take the stand in court to defend themselves of the charges that have been laid against them.
And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called...
Did she just say an historian?
There's an adage an historian once called...
God, I am so glad that this bimbo did not become president.
A law of history. True of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars.
Did somebody seriously go at that? Okay, whoever that person is, can we find them and throw them in the concentration camp first?
I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time.
Probably because we've been telling them that they're going to enter a dark time.
But for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case.
Wow, great battle plan there, Harris. Let's just hope that Trump 2.0 doesn't turn America into a brutal authoritarian regime.
But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars.
I'm choosing to believe that by stars, she actually means rockets, because that would be more consistent with the type of things that she should be saying right now.
The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service.
Which you've spent the past 4 years spitting on in every way conceivable.
And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Wow, she didn't really say anything of substance in this speech. Kind of makes me wonder why, again, she didn't just say all of this meaningless bullshit on election night. I mean, I know that conservatives like to joke that she's a haggard drunk behind the scenes, but that can't be the truth, can it?
For over 200 years, America has carried on the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact.
Well, I know quite a few people who would disagree with that assessment of history, but I digress.
We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully.
I guess we're just gonna forget that the Civil War happened.
And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails.
Yeah, except for all of those times where the government does things that the people don't want.
Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
That's what the American people deserve.
To have their country handed over to somebody who you think is a literal dictator?
Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant. She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I learned early on to respect so much.
How to run an awful fucking presidential campaign?
Her character.
When the hell did she show us anything positive about her character?
She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character.
Which is why she fought so hard against doing a debate with Donald Trump.
She gave her whole heart and effort.
If by her whole heart you mean her entire stock of champagne, then yeah, I can agree with that.
And she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran.
No, they really shouldn't.
You know, the struggle for the soul of America, since our very founding, has always been an ongoing debate and still vital today.
Yeah, meaning?
I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious.
Man, what I would give to know what he means when he says to state the obvious.
For others, it's a time of loss.
That's a fucking understatement if I ever heard one.
Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other.
Yeah, but you told us that if Donald Trump won, this may be the last contest of which we can participate in.
We accept the choice the country made.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win.
But what if you lost to somebody who you think is going to be the next Hitler?
You can't love your neighbor only when you agree.
Yeah, says you.
Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature.
I really gotta consider that for a moment. Simon Pegg, what should my answer to that be?
Jog on.
I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent.
Which is why we resisted any attempts from the opposing side to investigate it in the last election.
And it can be trusted, win or lose.
Which I will now prove by laying out the following facts.
I also hope we can restore the respect for all our election workers who busted their necks and took risks at the outset. We should thank them. Thank them for staffing voting sites, counting the votes, protecting the very integrity of the election.
Yeah, I'll only respect and thank the ones who didn't engage in fraud.
Many of them are volunteers who do it simply out of love for their country.
Which is supposed to mean what to me exactly?
And as they did their duty as citizens, I will do my duty as president.
Yes, I know that by doing this, I'm going to be stripping away the rights of so many people, but you know what? You win some, you lose some.
I'll fulfill my oath, and I will honor the Constitution. On January 20th, we'll have a peaceful transfer of power here in America.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
To all our incredible staff, supporters, cabinet members, all the people who've been hanging out with me for the last 4 years, God love you, as my mother would say. Thank you so much. You put so much into the past 4 years.
Yeah, they've put so much into killing our country, I'll give you that.
I know it's a difficult time. You're hurting. I hear you and I see you.
That's why I'm going to be giving the keys to our government to Hitler 2.0 without a fight.
But don't forget all that we accomplished.
Why shouldn't we? I, for one, would love to forget about all the bullshit I've had to put up with over the past 4 years.
It's been a historic presidency. Not because I'm president, because what we've done, what you've done.
I guess being historically terrible does still count.
A presidency for all Americans.
Man, inflation is through the roof, murderous illegals are killing and eating our pets, and political dissidents are being jailed left and right. We sure did accomplish a ton of amazing things in this administration.
Much of the work we've done is already being felt by the American people, but the vast majority of it will not be felt over the next 10 years.
Oh God, you mean to tell me that things are gonna get worse even with Trump in the White House? Fuck.
We have legislation we passed that's just only now just really kicking in.
I'm not gonna bother telling you what specific legislation we passed because I forgot.
We're gonna see over $1 trillion worth of infrastructure work done, changing people's lives in rural communities and communities that are in real difficulty.
Ah yes, as exemplified by FEMA telling its workers to avoid the victims of hurricanes if they happen to have signs which support Donald Trump. I can really see how we're spending our hard-earned taxpayer money on really good services.
Because it takes time to get it done.
That must be what he told the Jan 6 prisoners who are being held without trial.
And so much more. It's going to take time. But it's there. The road ahead is clear, assuming we sustain it.
Well, considering that Trump is going to come in and erode all of our personal freedoms, there's a good chance that we're not going to sustain it.
There's so much we can get done, and will get done, based on the way the legislation was passed. And it's truly historic.
Again, I'm not going to bother to be specific with any of these supposed changes I've been making, because I forgot about them.
You know, we're leaving behind the strongest economy in the world.
Man, they must have given him some really good pills before he was brought out to do this speech.
I know people are still hurting, but things are changing rapidly.
In other words, sorry, but there's not much more we can do for you.
Together, we've changed America for the better.
Are there people really out there saying that this is Biden's best speech? Because he's been spewing nothing but bullshit since he arrived at the podium. Just because this is the most coherent he's ever been doesn't mean that the stuff he's saying is any good.
Now we have 74 days to finish the term. Our term. Let's make every day count.
We can do that by leaving the country before it becomes a brutal authoritarian regime.
That's the responsibility we have to the American people.
To allow a monstrous dictator to come in and erode all of their fundamental freedoms.
Look, folks, you all know it in your lives. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable.
But by your own logic, this isn't just any setback. This is us handing the keys to the government over to somebody who we think is going to establish a brutal authoritarian regime.
We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up.
Yeah, well, if God Emperor Trump has anything to do about it, he's going to keep you down for as long as humanly possible. So thanks for that one, Biden.
Remember, a defeat does not mean we are defeated.
Unless we lose to somebody who is either going to kill or imprison us, as we've been saying Donald Trump is going to do if he gets elected.
We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up.
But I thought now was the time for unity.
That's the story of America for over 240 years and counting.
Allowing our government to erode into a brutal dictatorship so that we can feel morally superior for 2 months.
It's a story for all of us, not just some of us.
Meaning?
The American experiment endures. We're going to be okay, but we need to stay engaged.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to do that when we're all being shoved into concentration camps, Joe.
We need to keep going.
Man, they must have given him some really good pills.
And above all, we need to keep the faith.
No, I am not dignifying this man with that great song. You cut that out, editor.
I'm so proud to have worked with all of you. I really mean it. I sincerely mean it.
You can tell by how lifeless the tone in my voice is.
God bless you all. God bless America. and may God protect our troops.
Which I failed to do during our disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. Alright, that's enough celebrating and nose-rubbing. After all, you know what they say, consuming too much salt is really bad for you. I'm Alex Critic, and I look forward to 4 more years of leftists coping and seething as Trump makes America great again. I'll see you guys next time.